Jack Stanley. This most recent presidential election has been one of the most difficult for the United States to deal with. It has been a very uncomfortable situation for many. This is due to many factors. That this country today is polarized in a remarkable way. In fact, very much polarized, not unlike it has been in over 150 years. There are debates going on constantly between this party or this faction and dealing with who is the legitimate president and why are they the legitimate president. I wanted to mention a couple of things. There's a couple of issues here that probably need to be talked about a little bit. In fact, is that a lot of people today do not understand or even realize why there is an electoral college. Now, Donald Trump was elected because he had a plurality of votes in the Electoral College. However, in the popular vote, he was not in the lead. That was Hillary Clinton. So I guess the question is, do we rule by popular vote or do we rule by Electoral College? This republic, as it was formed through our present Constitution in 1787, runs very importantly with an electoral college. We may not be happy by the results of this, but you need the electoral college, and there's several reasons for this. First off, we have large states and we have small states. If indeed we had no electoral college, the small states, the less populated states, would have no voice at all in the operations of the country. Now, lots of people say, well, isn't that somewhat outdated? Well, I don't think so. And I think it's very important that we keep the Electoral College because it protects a vast majority of the people. If we have just centers where there's a large population here, there, and everywhere, that's all well and good, but they will always have their say, and it'll always be in their way. You can't have that. This is a country that is made up of 50 states and several territories. The thing is that if we only allow the urban centers to have a vote, which would happen in just a general population vote, the rest of the country would not be represented at all. We have to remember that the areas in which there are large populations are the East Coast, the West Coast, and to a degree certain areas in the middle, in the Midwest, like in the Illinois area. If we remove the Electoral College, the country will be ruled by about 5 or 6 states. That's it. Because the other states will not have a voice. And you have to look at this with an understanding that we are a country of 50 states, and each state has to have a voice. If it does not have a voice, then we don't need the Electoral College and we don't need a country. Because if we don't have it, this country would definitely fall apart. So please, for those of you who are wondering about the election, whether we're happy or unhappy about the result is irrelevant. What is important is the system works. This is not the first time that we have had a situation like this with the Electoral College and the popular vote. It has happened many, many times. In the election for the third president, it happened. In the election for the sixth president, it happened. In the election for the 19th president, it happened. In the election for the 23rd president, it happened. Then there was a bit of time, and we get to the election of 2000. That was somewhat of a cantankerous event, lots of anger on both sides. And it didn't happen again until 2016. So it's not like it's never happened. Okay, it has happened with many, many presidential elections. And so we have to honor the process, and we need to keep the process, because the state of Indiana, the state of Nevada, the state of South Carolina, the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Florida, and the state of North Dakota all have a voice. And if we remove the Electoral College, they will lose it. Just a simple thought and talk about why we have an Electoral College. It was put together by our founders. It's a very smart system, a very wise system. But you need to study it to understand it a little bit, because if you don't, you get upset because you see the popular vote, and you don't realize that the popular vote is secondary in the electing of a president. Number one is the electoral vote. So, just a little talk on that. Thank you.